day, I said, I've got to be creative enough to try to figure out how I can prove to him that you can shine a sneaker. So I found an old sneaker that I had played tennis with a number of times, had a hole in one side, the laces were pretty well gray, and I sent it to Ohio to the American Bronzing Company. It came back to me about $50, $60 later. I had it mounted on a plaque for another $40, and I sent it to him one day at the end of a recording session, presented to him as the You Can't Shine a Sneaker Award, because I was very proud to have known him and know that we're getting pretty close to all the successes in recording, doing jingles, and hopefully soon to record my band. And so I proved one thing, that you can shine a sneaker. I wish we had the award here today to show you, because it's pretty impressive. In recent years, he's come up with two other words that I've really never tried to challenge or even guess the definitions of, and I, just for the sake of entertaining the audience, I have them here today, and I'd just like to show them to you. The first one is kind of interesting, because I try to just sit there fascinating myself, wondering, well, how am I ever going to find a definition to explain to the audience what this word means? And so the only way to do it is just to maybe show it to you, and then when Pat gets up here, maybe he can explain the definition of this word. Can everybody say icky baluki? And much to my surprise, I still don't know if it has a translation or what language it is, but it sort of goes with what Skylar was saying in all the foreign languages that he's probably been in association with. There's one word that shows a lot of interest, and Pat, I'd like to contest you to get up here when you do and try to figure out what it means. Then the last one, I think it almost sounds a little bit toward the Jewish side, but I've never really been too sure, and couldn't find a dictionary that had an explanation for it, so I figured, well, I'm going to show this one to the audience, and at long last, maybe he can explain this one. Can everybody say Hanyaker? That's right. It's a very interesting word. It looks interesting spelled out, and I didn't really, I have no idea what it means. I've heard him say, he's looked at me a couple times in a session saying, you Hanyaker, you. So I figured, well, it's probably a compliment, because I always thought he liked me. He's always taking my money, and I figured, well, what the hell? And he's giving me credit up to 1 hour, so I guess I can't complain about that either. But last but not least, I am very privileged to be among the Massachusetts Company family and friends alike, and feel very proud to have known Pat for 25% of his life, which I think is a great deal, and I hope a whole lot more. Happy birthday.
Our next roaster is Bill Borelli, whose nickname is Choo Choo Borelli because of his interest in trains. What people don't know is that besides trains, that Bill has a great interest in airplanes. As a matter of fact, Bill flew his own airplane for 2 years, and then the rubber band broke. Besides being a very talented announcer, some of you will remember him as the voice of WCCM, he had a brief stint as an actor over at Eastern Sounds when he played the part of a child molester during one of the videos that they filmed there. Can you imagine Bill, a child molester? If it wasn't for pickpockets, he wouldn't have any sex life at all. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Borelli.
Thank you very much. I have a rhetorical joke. Don't answer now, because I got the answer up here. I don't want you to answer it. You're going to spoil everything. Does anybody in the audience know the difference between a dead snake in the road and a dead lawyer in the road? The snake has skid marks going up to it. I got a little sleeper for you there. I know that the Costas. You having fun today, Pat? Is this good? Having good? I know the Costas and the Barbagallos spend a lot of weekends together. They've been very close friends for a long time, and I know that Pat also a while back bought a scanner. Now I have a scanner, but like Ralph said, I'm into trains and things, and I listen to those guys, and I was wondering, why does Pat have a scanner? I He doesn't not interested in trains or anything. And then I realized what it's all about. Ralph bought him the scanner so they both can listen for the ambulance calls on the weekends. I say, Pat, you're not a classic yet. You got to be a little older for that, but you certainly are approaching a collector's item. That's for sure. He has a couple of other phrases besides the one Nick talked about, and it's the ones I hear most than anybody else. And the phrase is, "You making fun of me?" And Pat, yes, today we're making fun of you, Pat. And the other one is, "You trying to throw it in my face? Are you trying to throw it in my face?" And the answer is, Pat, yes, we're throwing it in your face. He mentioned to me last week that he had finally learned what the true two sure signs of advancing age are. He said to me, "Bill, I know what they are. One is a loss of memory, and I can't remember the other thing." I noticed you went to the bathroom about 3 times today here, Pat. That's definitely a sign of advancing age. I don't know if you had any trouble hearing us in there, but we certainly could hear you. I went to my first session at Eastern Sound's recording studio. The sounds had a plural, which means they must have made at least a couple of sounds. And we went to Pat's parents' house, is where it was. And I was, a big radio star at the time, I guess, or something here in Kansas City. No, where are we? Oh, I'm sorry, Methuen. And I had to do an Italian accent, which wasn't too difficult to do. And I want you to know that Pat really had some humble beginnings, despite the palace down here where we all work. That he was so poor in the beginning that he had wooden microphones, and it was very difficult to do a lot of things there at the Eastern Sound. But he's progressed since that. It was for Candy Cupboard, I think, is what it was that we did that for. But I want to tell you, Pat has made a lot of successful and brilliant moves in most of his career. But you know what kind of car he drives? He's got an Audi. You guys hear about the Audi? And he wonders why nobody wants to go to lunch with him, We don't want to sit in that car. Or we make him park it out back facing the building, no way am I going to sit in that thing. No. And a few weeks ago, he showed up with what everybody thinks is a cellular phone. Okay. But nobody has the number. Right? There's a little antenna on the window. I can figure it's a dummy. It's a fake. It's just a plastic phone that doesn't do anything. But there's been a lot of references to Pat and his squeaky wallet, and I think it's true. It's the only man I ever saw can buy a case of Pepsi for 10 cents a can and sell it back to us for 50 cents a can. That's terrible. He issues 1 roll of toilet paper per office per year, and that's it. So come December, boy, you really got to time your moves to the bathroom. He also counts paper towels. We can see him doing that, And once we got Ed out of the corner of the building and in an office across the hall, we got a little more friendly because it's a long distance the other way. Now he's right across the hall. Although if I want to talk to Eddie, I have to call him on the telephone because the damn Muzak is too loud outside our doors. The funny thing about that is that Eddie and I were wondering one day having a cup of coffee, I said, why does Pat have his door closed so often? Which must be very important business, And this went on for a long, long time. And we never could figure out what's he doing in there, Near as we could figure, he's probably counting money, counting paper towels, checking the toilet paper, But certainly not doing anything important, We just want to look that way, So, but of course, of late, Pat, we have to say you've progressed a little bit. You've got the door open more now, and that's very nice. Now we can hear all your conversations, and it's no trouble at all. The other thing that's very striking about Pat and dealing with Pat is when you walk into his office, he can have 750 projects going at the same time. And his desk looked like he just went, there isn't a damn thing on it, I said, how the hell can you work that way, Pat? There's nothing on that desk. And he said, Bill? He goes, Bill? He says, a clean desk is a sign of a clean mind. He's like that, he is. But there's one thing that probably of all the phrases that Pat has passed along to all of us who have known him, including Hanyaker and some of the other great legends of our time, it's a phrase that he's been repeating to me for about the 15 years or so, maybe 20 years that I've known Pat. I don't know when it was that we first met, what time period. There's one phrase. When you're in business for yourself, you have it made. And that one goes back and forth between Pat and me. And Pat, I'm still waiting. In all seriousness, Pat, we hope you enjoyed this because the best is yet to come. And we're going to have a real good time with you in a few minutes. So I want to wish you, as a medium old friend, happy birthday to one of the greatest guys I know and to one of the nicest people to be in a building with for more than 2 hours a day.
Our next roaster is Jim Minicello. You know, Jimmy has been for many years in the food business, and he had a great restaurant out in Orange, Mass. That in fact, Pat and I and our wives would always go and visit. And it was a great restaurant, but after a few years, he went out of business. And I finally today, when I was planning the roast, figured out why he went out of business. I think, Jimmy, it was the menu. You know, the people in Orange have a hard time with a menu with items like pasta fazool, zuzu, pere de porco, cucuzzo qui mangiare, and of course that fabulous old favorite stuffed lindiki. But Jimmy also got in trouble with the building inspector out there, the Board of Health, as a matter of fact. Instead of having a men's and a ladies' room like every restaurant is required, he only had one bathroom. He called it the Bacauzo. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Minicello.
I wasn't sure how the food was going to be today, so I brought a lunch. Oh, God. 40 years old, huh? Yeah. Let's see, how long have I known you? 25, 30 years, something like that? Yeah. I remember when I first met him, 30 years ago. Holy Rosary School. Mrs. Costa, can you stand up, please? Sit down, you make a fool of yourself. So many good things about Pat. You don't know where to start. Pat has always had great words of wisdom, and I can always remember one thing that's gone through me my whole life. And pay heed to this, everyone, when you go out to eat. Make sure when you order a Coke, never order with ice, because you get more Coke when you order without ice.
That's our secret.
We shared many good times together. I can remember Pat's first recording session. I can remember in his mother's cellar, he went out and bought a piece of plywood and pegboard. It was fantastic. He invited all the friends down to watch this first historic moment. And it was great. It really was. The band came in, and Pat was all set and ready to go. And we all had tears in our eyes waiting for this first memorable session to begin. And all of a sudden, Pat said, "All right, quiet please, take one." And from across the room, the call of the wild, "Pat, come and get the pasta, it's time to eat." And to go further, I'm going to show you Pat's first tape recorder. Here it is. This is the replica of Pat's first tape recorder he used in Eastern Sounds Recording Studio. This was identified at that time as stereo, as Pat used to call it. Now, all of you here know Pat as a very, very conservative person. He's conservative in dress, his mannerisms, and so on and so forth. But I've known Pat a little bit longer than most of you, and I'm going to have Pat help me out with this one to show you what Pat was really like. Pat, would you stand up, please, and take your jacket off?
I bet I know what it is.
Okay. First of all, I want you to put on a pair of sunglasses. This outfit Pat picked out personally himself in 1963, a year ago. This is the conservative Patsy Costa, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, take a look at this. All right? And it still fits today. Imagine it. Look at this. Look at that. All right? Sure it is. We get a picture of this? Oh, sure. You want to get a picture of this.
Jimmy, you could have pressed it.
No, that's exactly the way you wore the jacket 30 years ago. You never pressed the jacket. Lucy, that's your fault. Yeah, keep it on. Make a fool of yourself. In closing, I just want to say one thing, Pat. We all have acquaintances that we have through all our lives, and there are very few people that we can say that are real close friends. And I just want to say, Pat, you're not one of them.
Just a comment, an acknowledgement. I hope you liked our sound effects tonight. That first sound effect that you heard, the screaming, that was provided compliments of my wife, Marie, and my daughter, Anne-Marie, is what caused the scream, and my son, Ralph, is the one that recorded it and played it back for us here tonight. At this time, it takes... Oh, by the way, Lucy, we'll be on time for the bingo game tonight. You'll be able to get there in time. She threatened me tonight. She said, if you're too bad to my son, I'm going to kill you when it's over. Right now, let's all give a great welcome to the birthday boy himself, Pat Costa. What's up, man?
First of all, coming here and being surprised was one thing, and having all my friends and relatives here and people that I work with and know, and they're all very close to me, obviously, but then when they said we're going to do a roast, and then after they said at the end of this roast, you have to say something about all of the people that are roasting you, I mean, what can one say? I'm just awestruck, or as Nick, to use one of the terms that Nick used, Icky Baluki would probably fit in this situation right now. That's sort of what happens when there's like havoc and one does not know how to control it. It's better than why I came up with that was because sometimes when you're in business and you're in mixed company and stuff, swearing was not always a forte of mine. So I used to make up these words that where a swear would happen, so it would just make sense and nobody would know what you're talking about. So Hanyaker, I don't know where I got that one. But in any event, I just once again would like to thank everyone for coming. I'd like to thank all my good friends for the kind words that they had. I know I will get even with them, but I really feel flattered and highly honored that you all took the time to be with me today, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
I would like to just for a moment, I would like to have everyone, I'd like to thank our toast roast master, Ralph Barbagallo. Also, some of you may remember the Jackson Browne song, Lawyers in Love, that was out a few years ago. And, of course, Bruce Springsteen's I'm on Fire. Well, Ralph's just recorded a record. In fact, it's a song on his new album that's kind of a cross between the two. It's called Lawyers in Heat. It should be released soon. Thank you. Here comes Pat.
On cue. I'm sorry, I just want to say one thing. I would just like to right now also especially thank my wife Sally for putting all this on. I don't know how she did it, but she did a great job.
There's even one thing. I hate to keep this tagging along, but just a thought that goes through my mind when we're thanking. Tie that patient down. That's the rain outside. We thank Mr. and Mrs. Costa very much, but someone that is certainly not lost in history, and someone that Pat and I know and we're very close to, and Pat really, as far as the recording studio, he was responsible for helping us a lot. And that was Pat's grandfather, Mr. Al Zangri, who has passed away a long time ago. And I really would like to remember him today, too, because I think that he has had a lot to do with the continuation of Pat's success.
We'd like to invite you to just enjoy the rest of the afternoon, have drinks, be merry, and if you'd like to congratulate Pat. Oh, dancing. They'll be dancing until the wee hours of 6:30.
Yes.